Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Like back here with another YouTube video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing, let's talk about the Spider-Man franchise. Now, just quick disclaimer, I'm not talking about the MCU Spider-Man in this video. I'm just mainly talking more about the Sony franchise. So yeah. Uh, so anyways, the Spider-Man franchise. Now, not all the movies connect. I mean, actually, none of them connect at all. Maybe that could change in the future. I don't know. But currently, at this standpoint, none of them connect. This isn't really much of like a continuity universe or anything like that. Like the MCU or the X-Men universe or something like that, or DCU. This is more just movies in revolving around kind of Spider-Man, except for the exception of one movie, which I'll talk about in 2 seconds. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, let's go over the movies that I've talked about. I've also put out reviews for all of these movies as well. So we have The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, which is of course Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. If you don't know who that is, he's right here. And then we have of course the MC Spider-Man, but I'm not going to be talking about him just because I feel like he I feel like I just don't want to really talk about them the two movies that much because I feel as if we should talk more about like the Raimi trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man stuff and stuff like that. So that's the reason why I'm not talking really about MCU Spider-Man as much because I feel like he has a bit of more of an advantage because he's been in also more movies and stuff like that. So yeah, and it's also connecting like say Iron Man and stuff like that, whereas the other Spider-Man movies didn't really. So I'm gonna mainly be talking about standalone movies here. So yeah. Then of course we have the Raimi trilogy, which is Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. And that highlights Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and they call it Raimi trilogy because the director was Sam Raimi. So yeah, there's that. Uh, then also we have Venom and we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So yeah, so we have about 7 movies. Yeah, that's 7 movies we're gonna be talking about in this video. And in reality, there's about 9, including the MCU Spider-Man again. But again, I'm not really gonna be talking about that. So yeah, that's something else as well. All right, so let's just quickly talk about these trilogies, or I mean these movies. So in specifics, I there's definitely movies I very much enjoy in this whole franchise. I'll call it. Definitely some good movies, but there's also some bad movies as well. Uh, just not enjoyable ones in my personal opinion. I'm not going to be ranking them or anything in this video as well. That'll be another video, but yeah. Uh, so yeah, these movies do a pretty good job of just bringing to life the character of Spider-Man, but obviously that's very subjective because some people are like, oh, can't comic accuracy this and all that, and battling for who's the best Spider-Man and all that. In my personal opinion, I care and I care not for that. Uh, just for the fact that I just enjoy seeing the character of Spider-Man come to live action because Spider-Man, of course, comics, he's very well known slash a lot of people love his character and think he's awesome, and I do too. I think he's a really cool character, really enjoyable, just fantastic character. So that's something else I like as well. uh, Venom, the Venom movie and Into the Spider Verse is a different story, but like I still enjoy those movies because they bring across the character of say Miles Morales, for example, or Eddie Brock and Venom. So there's that as well. That I find those movies are pretty good as well, just for the fact they're bringing those characters to life or to live action, I guess, or watching them and not just reading comic books or whatever the case is. So yeah, that's enjoyable too. And something I also forgot to mention is also there's been TV shows and stuff like that. And I won't be talking about it. It's just movies basically. So yeah, in case you were wondering that too. Uh, Another thing is too, I really enjoyed the villains. I thought it was pretty good. We've pretty much seen most of the Spider-Man villains in live action. To my knowledge, I think we're just missing maybe a few, like we're missing Shocker. Oh no, we got him in MCU Spider-Man. Never mind. Scorpion we're kind of missing, but Scorpion might come eventually. I think he will. But for the most part, we've gotten to see most of these like big bad villains for Spider-Man, like Green Goblin, Doctor Octopus, Vulture, Mysterio, Electro, and a whole bunch of different villains and stuff like that. And that's something I really enjoy. Obviously, sometimes it's not the best. Like for example, Scorpion wasn't the best, and Rhino wasn't the best, and stuff like that. But it's still definitely very interesting in my personal opinion. I think they do a decent job in terms of bringing characters to live action because that's what a lot of people want, and especially myself too. So, yeah, uh, I think most of these movies they do pretty well when it comes to uh, kind of like Spider-Man character and utilizing Spider-Man in a good way. I think they do a well done job. Uh, yeah, and like touching base on what I said before too, with some of them being good and some of them being bad. Some of them are really good as well cinematically. Like Spider-Man 2 is done very well cinematic wise, as opposed to enjoyable movie watching wise. It's more cinematically better. Uh, Same with like the whole Spider-Man 1 is pretty good cinematic wise. Into the Spider Verse is pretty cinematic wise, pretty good cinematic wise. So of course they've got some good cinematic stuff as well as some good enjoyable stuff like Venom, uh, the Amazing Spider-Man. Some people enjoy that. I know people do. Uh, there's many different things people enjoy. That's something I like about the whole Spider-Man franchise. It's got stuff for everybody. Uh, so yeah. Next thing would probably be just Sony's use of Spider-Man. Now, Sony uses Spider-Man pretty well, in my personal opinion. That's at least what I think, because like touching base on what I said before, with the fact that Spider-Man is more well known, and a lot of people like the character and stuff like that. Uh, and yeah, people like the character. So obviously that calls for people wanting like say live action movies. And I think Sony does a pretty good job of doing that. Like they produce Spider-Man movies like every 3 years, 4 years since the first Spider-Man movie came out, Spider-Man 1, back in all the way 2002. And they still have kept up a lot with the Spider-Man franchise. I think the longest gap we've had is maybe between Spider-Man 2 and 3, which is like what 3 years, 4 years, approaching 4 years. So we haven't had two, or actually no, it would have been 5 years because of Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3. But again, that's all right because they were transitioning. Uh, so yeah, there's that as well. Another thing too is just the cancellation process of these movies. Like two times, two movies got canceled. Like we were fully aware of this and stuff like that. With Spider-Man 4, we were supposed to get a Spider-Man 4 in the Raimi franchise, but that ended up getting canceled. So yeah, that was kind of annoying, in my personal opinion. Uh, it was supposed to come out in 2011, and I think they canceled it to do the Amazing Spider-Man. And then we also had Spider-Man 3, uh, or sorry, The Amazing Spider-Man 3, which was supposed to again be Andrew Garfield's third movie. That got canceled too. I believe it was supposed to come out around where Homecoming was supposed to come out. So yeah, and then that was canceled, and then Tom Holland ended up getting casted into the role of Spider-Man for the MCU, which I still kind of don't understand to this day. Because to be honest with you, I understand why they didn't put Andrew Garfield in the MCU. Is because again his movies didn't do too good. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. People can enjoy it and stuff like that, but his movies didn't do very well at box office wise. They were very not too good, and it definitely reflected in again the box office and stuff like that. And of course, as much as people like their fans and stuff, people still want to make money, and Sony definitely does too. So you kind of understand exactly what's going on with why that happened. So I mean, I'm not too mad about it, but like, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have mind seeing say Andrew Garfield reprise his role as Spider-Man, but I kind of understand why, because they wanted to go for more of like a child protege or something like that, like that kind of stuff. So I understand why they were doing that, and obviously Andrew Garfield is like, I think he was at like late 20s when this was happening, and of course Andrew Garfield doesn't look like a child too, so it doesn't make, or he doesn't look like a teenager. Sorry, excuse my wording there, but he doesn't look like a teenager that would be following in the footsteps of Iron Man. That's just me being brutally honest, especially since he had already two movies that wouldn't have made a lot of sense. So yeah, I could see exactly why they recasted him, and I don't mind seeing that. In terms of the Tobey Maguire recasting, I don't know what to say about that, to be honest with you. But like, I kind of personally understand, because again, Tobey Maguire's last movie didn't do very well. Spider-Man 3 was done horribly. It didn't really work properly. It wasn't really good. So I understand that as well. But anyways, that's pretty much it. I'll give my overall rating now. I would say this franchise does a lot of things good, and it does a lot of things bad at times. So I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. Or yeah, I think 8 out of 10. No, actually, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. But that's pretty much it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.